because you kind of you can see the negative habits quicker. That is what I would say. I would say you're probably doing a lot of preventative things today, so it doesn't come back to bite you in the butt in 20 years. What constructive things are you doing?
The analogy here is, how much would you believe in yourself if you knew the train you were on was headed somewhere great, and anytime it gets off course, you get back on track?
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1382, a helpful way to stick with the boundaries you set. Today, for episode number 1383, happy Friday, a simple reason why so many people don't believe in themselves. So I went and saw a buddy this weekend. Shout out to Matt. Last weekend. And we were having a fire on his deck, and we had a glass of whiskey, and we were listening to music, and it was a wonderful, wonderful evening. And one of the reasons I suggested having a fire is because, sometimes we'll play video games, but we don't really connect. And we don't really talk about goals and dreams and habits and self-improvement. And believe it or not, I very much enjoy doing that on a Friday or a Saturday night. Hence why that is what I do for a living. And we were talking about someone that he looks up to in the real estate industry. And I could tell when he was talking that he wasn't certain that he could be that. And Matt's a very extraordinary human being who's capable of pretty much anything.
For sure.
Right? He's definitely, he's capable of pretty much anything. And I said, you know what the interesting thing about that person is? They're 27 years ahead of you. Like, you're only 34, okay? That person has been doing their thing for almost as long as you've been alive. Mm-hmm. There's no reason 27 years from today you can't be where they are. And that's a long-ass time. I mean, that is and Alan's been trying to tell me this for years, but it's just a long time. If you can just do the right things, you don't even have to get, here's the interesting thing. You don't even have to really get that good. I mean, you do, but if you get a little bit better every day, 27 years is a long time. So if you're 27 years old, imagine starting something today, or maybe you just started something recently. Imagine how good you could be 27 years from today. How successful, how confident, how competent, whatever, how many reps you'd have under your belt, the resume you could build. Time is the biggest reason, one of the biggest reasons many people don't believe in themselves, because they assume where the people that they look up to are today is where they've been forever. And they assume that where they are today is where they'll be forever. And that just isn't the truth. But we don't know where somebody was before they popped off. We don't really know. We have no idea. We don't know what they were doing before that. We don't know how long they were doing it usually. But one night, it's like they're an overnight sensation. I was watching a video today on the treadmill about Angry Birds. For some reason, Angry Birds popped up, and I was like, I want to watch, because I was learning about their business model. It's like, this is going to be cool. I'm very interested in this. Guess what number? So they created apps and quote-unquote video games. Guess what number Angry Birds was out of all the ones that they created? I know that's hard.
What do you mean by number? How many games they created before Angry Birds?
Yeah. I can't, it's not good data because I can't really tell you how many years they were out.
They produced probably at least 200 other games.
51. But still, 50. I mean, they were on the verge of bankruptcy. And then they created Angry Birds and everything popped off.
Unreal.
But 51. I mean,
how many years?
I don't know off the top of my head. I was struggling through cardio, like sweating profusely, so there's not a lot that stuck with me. But that did.
51 is actually
all things considered, it's not that many.
No, it's not.
Right?
That's
so
the thing. Yeah.
That's the other interesting thing is, I have clients all the time who are like, well, I've done 52 episodes. That's not that many. I know it's a year of your time, but it's only a year because you do one episode a week. It's really not. It's not that many reps. You shot 50 cannonballs. It's not that many. Mm-hmm. when other people are firing multiple a day. It's not that many. That's the very interesting thing. I did not understand that. Alan's been trying to teach me this for years, and I understand it at a deeper level than I ever have. But my ability to look into the future and project or predict what I'm going to be, I don't have that like Alan does. But
what do you see? We always do this, but I'm curious. What do you actually see?
How many years?
10?
Nothing.
You don't see anything.
I couldn't even. It's a recipe I don't even know the ingredients to.
Do you know what you're going to look like, feel like, be like?
No.
Do you know
I'm gonna
what
be
you want to look like, feel like?
Yeah, jacked.
Be like? Okay. Yeah, jacked.
Specifically, no.
Can you try to describe for me what that's like?
Yeah, I just do what you tell me.
No, not that. I mean, like, what are you actually envisioning?
Nothing. I'm not envisioning 10 years from today. Genuinely. I don't have that capability. That's not the way my brain works. No way. No way. I can't even remember 5 years ago. It's like, it's so hard for me. That's one of the weird things about this whole thing is we've only been doing this for 6 years. On the day-to-day, it feels like forever. On the day-to-day, it's like, oh my goodness, we've been doing this for so long. But then when you look back, it hasn't been that long. That's high school plus 2 years.
Well, it's all relative. This is Einstein's theory of relativity. We're not going to go deep down the rabbit hole, but seriously, right? I mean, Emilia got a new Tesla, and this car is a 2023. I call it the spaceship. This thing's amazing, right? And she hammers in this thing because it feels like she's doing 60, and it feels like you're doing 20 miles an hour because it's so smooth, you know? And I'm used to the Mazda or my Subaru that, like, when you're doing 60, you feel like you're doing 120. But anyways, I'm like, can you please slow down, love? Like, this thing is too fast, right? So anyways, what's my point of that? Yeah, it's all relative.
Yeah.
So just because it feels like and this is the problem with time and why people don't believe in themselves is because in the situation with Matt, this is what I would say to Matt if I was coaching him. I would say, okay, how old is that person? You said 27 years, so 27 plus 34?
51?
So 61? No, that would be...
Oh, 34. Yeah, 61.
So 61. Okay, so they're 61 years old. I said, here's what you need to do. And I don't know if other people do this. I always do this. Always. What were they like at 34?
Right.
And I imagine that. And it's like, oh, they were absolutely a mess. They're a mess now. So this is what I used to do with my mentors. I'm just going to be very vulnerable about this. For me, these things are very vulnerable to share because I don't want... Yeah, it's just a part of me that I don't typically share. So here we go. So I had mentors that were 75. I have mentors that are 54. I have mentors that are blah, 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 blah. I had a bunch of coaches, bunch of mentors, dozens. And I feel like eventually the master and the apprentice eventually becomes his own master or her own master, and you move forward. And so many of them are still close to me, but not really like they once were. But here's what I used to do in my mind. I used to learn from them. And then I used to say, what were they like? And I would imagine in my mind, what were they like at my age? And I would go, oh, if I think you're still a mess now, of course, I mean, when you were my age, you were an absolute mess. And that's okay. I don't mean a mess in a negative way. Like everyone. So I'll give you an example. I coach Jessie on the team. Jessie's 25, 24. She's 24. And I think about me at 24 and I'm like, Jessie, you are amazing. Like the stuff I'm teaching you right now, it took me 34 years to learn. When I was 24, I didn't know any of this. You have like a huge head start. Yeah. Like to me, that's why mentors are so powerful. And I don't think anyone takes full advantage of those. Very few people. But one of the reasons why I actually stopped working with certain mentors is because I did this and I realized that I'm actually ahead of where they were. And if in some ways I think I'm ahead in certain holistic awarenesses, because this is all Kevin and I do. So they didn't spend 6 years contemplating health, wealth, and love. No. This is all we do. So we have a lot more distinctions than they do. A lot of them are really good at their thing and that's it. Just like that person in real estate. That 61-year-old, Matt's mentor, I would go and I would pick their brain in real estate, but I'm not going to ask them about fitness. I'm not going to ask them about intimate relationships. They're probably not super happy in their intimate relationship. I could be wrong, but a lot of people in real estate who are very wealthy end up with marriages that aren't great. That's just been my observation. Here's my point to this whole thing. If you want to believe in yourself more, you're going to have to start comparing accurately. You should not be comparing to me at 34 when you're 24. That's the worst idea ever. What you should be doing is, okay, I'm 24. What was Alan like at 24? Oh, okay, so he was a mess. All right, so I'm actually ahead of the game. See how much different that is?
Mm.
And so, I have one mentor who's 52, multimillionaire. It's like, in many regards, Kev, we're way ahead of him, like by a significant margin. I just don't know if other people can do the math.
I would say most people can't.
So with math, and this is formulaic thinking is what I would call this, and I do this with Emilia all the time behind the scenes, but like I tell Emilia all the time, I could never have been with you when I was 28, because she's 28 right now. I'm 7 years ahead of her. When I was 28, I wasn't anything like she is now. I was way behind where she is now. So when I was 28, I couldn't be with this version of her. Now, my 28-year-old self definitely could have been with the 21-year-old version of her. You see what I mean? So fortunately, I'm older, but that's 7 years of the compound effect. Kev, 6 years ago, we had never podcasted before. Think about how much you've grown, how much you've learned, how much more capable you are. Think about how much capital you have, how much you understand about health, wealth, and love. I mean, dude, take all that away in 6 years. You were 28 6 years ago? 27? 27. So when you were 27, in comparison to you now, you were ignorant and incapable.
For sure.
And now, go 10 years in the future. What are you going to be like? Now, from that frame, isn't it unreal?
I think that's one of the reasons it's so hard to predict. Because I couldn't predict where I was going to be 5 years ago.
Okay, how many times more intelligent and more capable are you now than when you first started the podcast?
I don't know. Capable? I don't even know. Many.
10 times? Probably 10 times?
Oh, at least.
At least, okay.
Yeah.
So now in 10 years, you'll be 10 times more capable than this.
Yeah, but it's very hard to imagine what that... I think of it from the day-to-day more than anything else, I think. That's kind of my measure. It's like, what's my day going to look like? I said this recently. I don't know if I said it on here, if I said it somewhere on social media. But I had a day recently where I looked at my calendar, and I was like, wow, my calendar is probably very close to some of the mentors we had a few years ago. It's like, well, that's interesting. I know my internet's jiffing. That's wild to me. It's absolutely wild to me. I don't know how that happened. It seems like it happened so fast, but it also seems like it happened so slow and it took so long. But I understand most people can't do that, Alan. Most people, if you can't get close enough to somebody to see who they actually are today behind the scenes, it's gonna be very hard to imagine what they were like 20 years ago. And I think that's more of a strength than you realize.
Oh, I'm grateful.
Hi there. This is Dr. Tarryn McCarthy, and I am the host of the Business of Happiness podcast, which would not be in existence were it not for the one and only Kevin Palmieri. He helped me put it together with his great expertise, and every week his whole team works tirelessly to get these podcasts uploaded to Buzzsprout and to deliver my content to my audience. I am so grateful. I couldn't say enough about him. Please, if this is something you're considering, I highly recommend him.
One of my mentors said, some of the mentors actually tell you. Like, I say that to Jesse all the time. I say, when I was 24, I was still drinking.
Yeah.
I had bad habits. I had tons of friends that were not good to me. I was being disrespected constantly. I didn't know what I was doing in my intimate relationships. I didn't know most of this stuff I'm teaching you. So I'm giving her, and by the way, this ties back to belief. One of the reasons she believes in herself so much is because I'm telling her these truths that get her to go, oh, wow, I'm like ahead of the game. Because Jessie spent most of her life thinking she was behind and not knowing her true value, in my opinion. Whereas I'm able to say, Jessie, like, whoa, You're 24 years old. Like, you're the most aware 24-year-old I've ever met, hands down. Like, what does that mean? And your trajectory matters way more than current state, way more, right? I mean, I have another 24-year-old. So Miles, shout out to Miles, my client. Miles is going to be a very wealthy, I mean, statistically speaking, anything can happen. So I can't predict the future with 100% accuracy, but I can project the formula into the future. Miles is going to be a very wealthy, successful man based on everything he's doing right now. And, we check in every month and we go through his finances and we go through his habits and, we do his goals and his milestones and his dreams. And he's just on a very excellent train track. And so the analogy here is, how much would you believe in yourself if you knew the train you were on was headed somewhere great, and anytime it gets off course, you get back on track?
Yeah. Well, I think that's belief. If you go to somebody and you say you're actually way further ahead than you realize, that's one of the reasons so many people quit, is because they think they're behind. And it's like, if you just kept going, even if you just kept doing what you're doing today for the next X amount of days, months, years, whatever, you could be wildly successful. But I know that's very hard to consciously understand that.
You do this with podcasters all the time. You say, well, you're way ahead of where we were.
I literally did that with somebody the other day. They're like, I know I should be way ahead of where I am. And I was like, how many listens do you have? And they're in year 1. And they said 1,500. And I was like, how many do you think we had in year 1? And they're like, well, since you asked me, I can assume it's probably less than. And I said, it was 1,047 or something. And I said, but if we stopped where you are, we would say, well, we only had 1,047 downloads, and I wouldn't be coaching you.
Nope.
I wouldn't be coaching you. That's the interesting thing. I don't know why my internet is jeffing so hard right now.
Yeah, Kev, what do we do about that? Do you want to just keep rolling?
Yeah, we keep rolling. Video looks good on my end. We know we have audio, so just keep rolling.
Okay. Just so everyone's aware, Kevin's internet has been a little bit messed up, but you shouldn't be hearing or seeing any of that, so it's all good. Okay.
It's good now.
Next level nugget.
Next level nugget. I don't know. I would say, what would you give? Because this, for me, is not... The belief part, obviously, is something I'm super focused on, and I have a lot of experience in not believing in myself. But when it comes to the time thing, that's not my jam. Time perspective is just not my jam.
I'll do it in... The next level nugget is, I have someone who I'm thinking of anonymously who started investing when she was... So her father started investing the moment she was born for her, created an investment account. And she just took a small percentage, I think probably 10% of her revenue, her income, and just always put it in the investment account. Something like that. And she'll be a multimillionaire. But she never made more than, $19 an hour. I think that the next level nugget is, everyone underestimates the power of the compound effect. Everyone. Even people who understand exponentials, they don't really fully grasp it. And to say something here that I really want everyone to lock in on for the rest of your life. I've been doing this on coaching calls. I said, if I put $100 in an investment account and I grew it by 1/10% per day, in 50 years, how much do you think it would be? I did this recently, and they said, I don't know, a couple $100,000. $100, like a couple $100,000. I said, it's 8.4 billion. 8.4 billion. And Kevin doesn't think this lands, but I'm going to say it anyway. Imagine there's 10 pieces of pizza, and then you slice one of those 10 slices into 10 pieces, and then you take one of those little slivers and slice it into 10. That little bite, that little micro bite, that's all you have to eat each day. And if you do that, and you do it consistently, you're going to blow your own mind. That's why young people struggle with self-worth. I say it all the time. You're not worth that much because you're just far behind on the compound effect. Think about it. All the older people we all know have more wealth. Almost all of them, right? you don't buy houses when you're young. Like, no one has like a house when they're 20 unless they inherited it. You know what I mean? Like, why do young people live with their parents? Why they don't? You can't accumulate anything without years, you know? And the next level nugget is you are underestimating the power of the compound effect. Everyone is, because time is a tricky thing.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this one because, again, you've been trying to tell me this for a long time, and I've always just said, like, yeah, no, I trust you. I don't know, whatever. I don't know what it's going to look like in 5 years or 10 years, but I know it'll be better than now. I have to assume it'll, I have to believe that. I have to believe it'll be worth it.
Mm-hmm. How do you make it land? Because I don't think I've ever been good at making this land.
I don't know if I can. This is an interesting thought I had recently. I was driving, and I was thinking, so just as an example, let's just say, I'm going to probably butcher this math. In theory, simplest form, it takes 3,500 calories to either gain a pound or lose a pound.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you want to lose a pound a week, people say cut 500 calories a day because 500 times 7 is 3,500. So that's a pound, quote unquote. So think of it this way. If you eat an extra 100 calories a day for a month, if you eat maybe 110 extra calories a day for a month, you'll end up eating 3,500 extra calories that month. Multiply that by 12, you just gain 12 pounds in a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's how people gain weight. One of the ways.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also how people lose weight.
And
if
110
you do the opposite,
calories is not that much. That's an extra banana a day.
Yeah. You mess up on your peanut butter scoop, there you go. You're done.
Yep.
Right? You scoop
every day.
a little bit.
Assuming it's every day, right?
Yeah,
if it's not every day, then you don't.
Right. But that I kind of think of it from that perspective of you get to the end of the year and you say, how the hell did I gain 12 pounds? Or how the hell did I lose 12 pounds? That's what happened. But you might not be able to point to a specific thing, or you weren't planning on it. The interesting thing about time is I think people are really better at understanding the downturn. Well, if I don't take care of myself, if I don't exercise, I know the longer I do that for, the worse off I'm going to be. Because you kind of you can see the negative habits quicker. That is what I would say. I would say you're probably doing a lot of preventative things today, so it doesn't come back to bite you in the butt in 20 years. What constructive things are you doing?
Right.
Because it's the same thing. It's just the opposite trend line. That's what I would say.
Well said.
Not really a next level nugget, but that's going to be my next level nugget.
How does this all tie to self-belief before we go? What did you say to Matt?
I said 27 years, man. I said, you're ahead of this person.
Oh, by
You're
far.
already ahead
Does
of this
he not
person.
know that?
He does.
That other
but
person at 34 is behind where he is now. I'm certain of that.
For sure. Yeah,
Unless it's someone who's like Gary Keller or something.
No,
Okay.
he's ahead.
Yeah.
I that's what I said. I said, you have to understand, like, you're way ahead.
You're ahead of the
You're
curve.
way ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
But you just don't know it because 27 years is a long, long curve. So
it's your entire life, almost. Yeah. It's literally your entire life you have to play catch up to these goals. And again, I don't even want to talk about the person, to the goals, to the level of success this person has. If that's what you aspire to, you got a long time. That's pretty much what I said. Probably more eloquent than that, but that's what I got.
Well, your internet's going again, so I'll leave it to you, good sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If you are listening to this, obviously you are into growth. Maybe you also have conversations like this on Friday nights, Saturday nights, whatever nights you have off, the late nights where maybe other people are partying hard. Maybe you're talking about self-improvement, self-discovery, self-awareness, all that happy jazz. If so, please join our private Facebook group, Next Level Nation. It is a safe place to be you. Social media is a weird place for a lot of us because we don't actually feel like we can be ourselves. That is exactly what Next Level Nation is for. Somebody from the team is posting in there every day. I'm in there. Alan's in there. Amy L's in there. There's live videos. There's a lot of stuff. And at the end of the day, it's a place where you belong. And I think that's what we're all looking for. So link is in the show notes. We'd love to have you there, and we will see you over there.
I coach a young man. It is my privilege. He is about to be 18 years old, so shout out to you. And I say to him, if I could have some of these lessons that I'm teaching you, some of these awarenesses, some of these things that I'm teaching you when I was 18, I said, when I was 18, I didn't know any of this. I knew none of this. I had no idea what I was doing in comparison. If you're out there and you really, group coaching is our best, the very best of all that we've learned. We don't talk about it anymore, Kev, but we interviewed hundreds of people that were like wealthy, the top of their industry. We used to interview world-class people, Olympic athletes. We've curated and done the work. We've done hundreds, if not thousands of hours interviewing people that got to the very top of their game. And then we curated the very best of all that we've learned and put it into group coaching. So just like I say to the 18-year-old client I have, I didn't know any of this before starting the Hyperconscious podcast with Kev and the Conscious, and then we transitioned to Next Level University. So all of that is available in group coaching, and it's insanely affordable. You're gonna make your money back and then some. Reach out to us. We have a promo code. It's only $96 a month. So reach out for the promo code. Click the link in the show notes. All of the information that you need is there. And I really, really hope you take us up on this offer. This is going to pay for its money and then some by 10x, 100x, maybe 1,000x over time.
A million trillion X.
A million billion,
a billion
quadrillion, trillion. Was it on Austin Powers? A million billion quadrillion. Yeah, that's funny.
I can't watch it.
Yeah, no, I can't anymore.
I can't watch
anymore. 90s movies were off the rails. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, they were. Tomorrow for episode number 1384, the upside of not fitting in. I had a really powerful conversation. I actually shared on the team call we had yesterday. So I'm excited for that episode. Have a wonderful Friday day and evening if you're listening to this bright and early when this drops. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Don't underestimate time. Next Level Nation.